Hello, everybody. This is Recie Myers coming to you live from Recie's Domain.
And I'm Roland here.
Every day, Monday through Friday, we come share just a thought or two with you. We've been reading the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, written by Robert Kiyosaki. In that book, he lays out a number of strategies and steps and actions that the ordinary person can do to be able to change their circumstance. And so we chose not to just breeze through it because it's so much to absorb. So we were taking our time and trying to absorb this. As you know, in the education system, Roland and I both retired school teachers. Financial literacy is not taught. It's not taught in the schools. And in our economy today, we have to be able to think creatively. We need to develop our financial literacy. And the best place to start is with your brain. And so we read the entire book, but Robert had some final thoughts. And I'm just going to share some of those thoughts with you. Well, he says that, when he wrote this book, it was basically to help the Hey! Okay, I'm sorry, I just got excited. Hi there, Cynthia. Thank you for joining. Cynthia. Thank you for joining. Robert spoke about how just the average person can do a lot to change their circumstance, but you have to be aware of what you're doing, and you need to develop your mind because, that is your greatest asset. He spoke about financial intelligence being something that you have to strive for. It doesn't just fall into your lap. He encourages us to read a book. He says, attend a seminar. He says, take classes. Do what you can to empower yourself. That's right. So in this last section of the book, he went into detail sharing what a young family with 4 children, the oldest of which was only 6 years old. He had been working really hard, saving $300 every month, putting it aside in a college fund for his children.
That's a miracle in itself.
That's right. And he was complaining and griping about, it's so hard to save $300 a month. And he had only accumulated, how much was it, $12,000? Yeah, he only accumulated $12,000, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I have at least 12 more years to go," because the oldest child, of course, was only 6 years old. So Robert was saying, you know what? Right now, they're down in Phoenix, in Arizona. They're practically giving houses away, and this was, I guess during the housing crisis, when there was, the housing market was not doing well. So he told him, look, buy a house down there in Phoenix. And he said, well, I don't have that good credit or whatever. At least he tried. He tried to buy the house, but they said, your credit needs to be at a certain level, and he couldn't get credit from the bank. Robert said, the bank is not the only place you can get credit. So his friend had specifications, the kind of house that he wanted. So Robert said, let's just look and see what we can find. They found this one house where the seller was motivated. He had gotten a new job out in California, and he had to sell his house that day. The seller was asking for $102,000 for the house. But Robert Kiyosaki told his friend, look, just offer him $79,000. The seller agreed to it, and they made the transaction. But before he did that, the only requirement was to pay down 10%, which means he had to come up with $7,900. Of course, he had already saved $12,000, right? So he took that $7,900 and bought the house. That's all the cash money he needed to have. He was going to keep that house for 12 years because rent it out, And after he rented it out, he pocketed $125 per month. Okay, and so it had intended to keep this house for 12 years. But the housing market shifted. Things started doing well. The tenant who was renting that house, decided he wanted the house and offered to buy it for $156,000. That's a good price. I remember because the original owner 3 years prior was selling it for $102,000. Anyway, so he sold the house for $156,000, and the $80,000 profit that he had gained, rather than allowing taxes to be attached to it, he put it. I think they said it was a 1031 tax deferment. Okay, I'm not into the housing stuff. I need to look that up. But a 1031 housing deferment. I think what I understand from that is, not education. I think when you work hard, you get heavily taxed on whatever you earn, on your earnings, and that was in the last part of the chapter. But monies that you worked hard for, you tax heavily on it. But when you have money work for you, that the taxes applied to that could be deferred till at the end. Yeah. So he had $80,000 to work with. Rather than just being taxed on that, he put that money into a mini storage, like a storage unit or like a warehouse where people store. And at the end of 3 years, that storage sold. Hi, Brenda. Glad you could join us.
Hey, Brenda.
And when it sold, he was able to get $330,000 for that warehouse. And what he did with that money? Poured it into his children's college fund. So the only money that he had to fork up out of his pocket was that $7,900. So financial literacy can help you change your circumstance. And it's not something that just falls on your plate. You have to seek it. You have to educate yourself. Oh, I'm here. I'm so glad you're back. Hopefully everything is going well for you. Great. Glad that you can join us. Thank you for the heart. All right. So the bottom line is financial literacy is important. You have to do what you can to educate yourself. Again, and he suggests buying a book. It doesn't have to be his book, but take a class. There's some free classes. Oh, talking about free, I'm going to come to that in a minute. He says take a seminar so you can empower yourself by what you put into your brain.
Learn the system. Wealthy and successful people, that's how they remain that way. They use a system. But we need knowledge as to what that system is. And I think that's what holds a lot of us back. So along with these investments, let's get the knowledge to make wise investments.
That's right. And talking about a class, Roland and I, we've been taking this class on financial literacy because, again, he says that you can start small. You can start small because every idea that's out there, every big idea, it started off small. And you can nurture it, grow it, where it can be working for you instead of you chasing the dollar, trading time for dollars. You learn how to make money work for you. He says you're never too old or too young, to educate yourself about money. And to survive in today's economy, it takes more financial literacy. Colonel Saunders, yes. Colonel Saunders, he was well into his 60s when he became very wealthy, and that's after he had lost everything. And of course, Bill Gates is one of the youngest I said billionaires because
before he was 30, I believe.
before he was 30, yes. So do what you can. You can start small and practice. And when I'm talking about practicing, I'm excited about this game. It's called Cash Flow. It's where life simulates the game, or the game simulates life.
Yeah, right, Monopoly.
Yes. And it helps you to learn how to invest and how you can learn about, there's nothing better than learning by doing. You learn by doing. So this game kind of like simulates life, and it kind of gives you a chance to practice. And I'm looking forward to being able to play that game. Yeah, so be sure to sign up for the next session that's starting on October 16th. The class, from what I'm understanding, is filling up, and you want to make sure you get your seat in the class. The class is free, and we will sign you up and let you know what you can do to be prepared and ready. It meets every Monday night.
What could it be?
It's free. It's free. And again, it's starting with educating our brains. All right, the class is called Gold in Bitcoins Bootcamp. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. We're going to be starting, well, there's one last little section I want to share with you tomorrow, and then we'll be starting another book. So thank you so much for joining us, Cynthia. Thank you, Brenda. And those of you who are catching the replay, be sure to share this out. That way, there's some others who might be interested in taking this class can be able to reap the benefits and educate their minds and be prepared. Thank you so much. Bye.